everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Jaqua lace cowl. It's a beautiful cowl. It has this wonderful lace stitch and it's perfect for any time of the year when you just want to add a little lacy touch to your outfit. It can be dressy or casual, morning, evening, whatever type wear. It's just a perfect lacy addition to your wardrobe. Now it measures about 9 inches across and it's about 26 inches around. It's stitched in repeat rows and then we're going to join it at the end. Now you can continue making it as long as you want to if you like a longer cowl. You can also leave it open and not join the end, and it can be a scarf. Now, if you'd like to have the multiples, you can click on that link because, as always, the free crochet pattern is down in the notes underneath this video. To make a Jaqua lacy cowl, you're going to need about 3.5 ounces of a medium number 4 weight yarn. I'm using this Vanna's Choice. The color is called Pistachio, and I just love this color for this cowl. But you can use any medium number 4 weight acrylic yarn. I think it would be beautiful with some of the striping yarns or the ombre yarns as well. I really liked it in this color though. When I saw this Vanna's Choice in my yarn stash, in that pistachio color, I thought I am going to have to use that for this design. We're going to be using our eye hook today, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle to weave those ends in, and of course, a pair of scissors. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 39 chains. And I do suggest that you stitch this beginning row of chains just a little bit loose because we're going to be joining the two ends together and we don't want one end puckered up and not fitting together. All right, so let's chain 39 chains. I have stitched my 39 chains. And we're going to begin by placing a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. There's our first, here's our second. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. And then we'll stitch one single crochet in each of our single crochets across. Now we began stitching in the second chain from the hook, so we're going to have 38 single crochets, placing one single crochet in each of the chains across. I've stitched my 38 single crochets and now I'm going to chain 3 and turn. Now on each row we're going to have a chain 3, and that chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 3. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. All right, let's stitch 2 more. And since our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, we have 4 double crochets at the beginning, and we will do this on every row. All right, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet in the next stitch. And then we'll repeat this across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the end, we're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to double crochet in those last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's go ahead and chain 3, and then we'll take a look at it. So we have 4 double crochets, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains with our single crochets, and then we end with 4 double crochets. We chain 3 and turn. All right, now for row 3, again, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches because our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we want those 4 double crochets at the beginning of every row. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to single crochet around that chain 5 and then chain 2. Now we're going to stitch a cluster stitch in the single crochet, and this is what I call a 2 double crochet cluster stitch. Yarn over, go in the single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through just the first 2 loops, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go back in that single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through just the 2 loops, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and then go through all 3 of those loops. That's your 2 double crochet cluster, and then we're going to chain 2. We're going to single crochet around that chain 5 and chain 2. All right, this brings us to our next single crochet, and we're going to stitch the double crochet, 2 double crochet cluster. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, just go through the first 2, then yarn over and go through all 3 of those loops, chain 2, single crochet around the chain 5 and chain 2. All right, next cluster stitch. Chain 2, single crochet around and chain 2. Isn't that beautiful? All right, we have one more cluster stitch. Single crochet and chain 2. And this brings us to those last 4 double crochets. We've done our single crochet around our chain 5, we chain 2, and now we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in those last 4 double crochet stitches. And we'll chain 3. All right, let's take a look at it. See how that looks? We have our 4 double crochets. We have what looks like a little bow tie. Then we have our cluster stitches. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cluster stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those little bow tie stitches. And we have those 4 double crochets at the end. And that's the way that row 3 should look. All right, let's do row 4. Here's our chain 3. We're going to turn. We're going to place that double crochet in the first 3 stitches. I should say the next 3 stitches. Our chain 3 counts as our first. we're going to chain 5, and we're going to place a single crochet in the top of our cluster stitch. So we skipped over all of this, and we're back to doing a chain 5 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a single crochet in the next cluster stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, single crochet in the cluster stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet in that last cluster stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in those last 4 double crochets. Whoops, I missed the stitch. There we go. And chain 3. Alright, so let's take a look at it. We have our 4 double crochets because again, that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. And then we have our chain 5 single crochets all the way across. And then we end with 4 double crochets. So we have stitched our chain 3 and we're going to turn. And for row 5, we're going to repeat what we did on row 3. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet here and on every row, and then we'll double crochet in those next 3 stitches. Chain 2, single crochet around the chain 5, and chain 2. Now we're going to place that 2 double crochet cluster stitch in that single crochet. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, and go through 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through all 3. Chain 2. We chain 2, we're going to single crochet around that chain 5 and chain 2. Now we're going to stitch that double crochet cluster stitch. Go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through all 3. Chain 2, single crochet around, and chain 2. And I think you're starting to see how the pattern is going to work for the repeats. Let's do that 2 double crochet cluster stitch. Chain 2, single crochet around, and chain 2 in our last cluster stitch. Chain 2, single crochet around that chain 5, and chain 2. And then that brings us to our last 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And chain 3. Now, the reason that I'm having you do 4 double crochets at the beginning and 4 double crochets at the end is it makes a nice band because we're going to be repeating long, and then we're going to join the 2 ends together, and that way we don't have to add any extra trim to the top and the bottom of our cowl. So if you want your cowl to be the size of mine, which is about 26 inches around, you're going to need to repeat row 4 and row 5, alternating rows for 46 more rows. And that's going to get you the cowl that is 26 inches around approximately. Remember, everybody stitches differently. Some may stitch tighter, some may stitch looser. So keep that in mind. And you're, like I said, if you want it to be the 26 inches, you need to repeat row 4 and row 5 for 46 more rows, alternating every other row. If you want it to be longer, continue to repeat those 2 rows until it's the length that you want. And remember, keep your tape measure close and measure as you go. So here is my cowl. I've stitched my rows, my repeats, and one thing to remember when you're working on this is you want to make sure that you end on the repeat of row 4, which is the 4 double crochets with the chain 5 and single crochet in your cluster stitch, because we're going to do a row of single crochets to give us a nice even edge to attach it to the other side. Once you've stitched your last row, you need to chain 1 instead of chain 3, because we're going to do a solid row of single crochet. So we're going to place a single crochet in those 4 double crochets. We're going to place 5 single crochets in the chain 5. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll place a single crochet in the single crochet, and then we'll repeat this across. 5 single crochets around the chain 5 or in the chain 5 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a single crochet in the single crochet. And you know, like I said, this is going to give us a nice solid edge to stitch it together to the other side. So I've completed that row, stitching 5 single crochets in the chain 5 space or around that chain 5, and then 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets. This brings me to these last 4 double crochets, and we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 4. There we go. And we'll go ahead and chain 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place the 2 ends together. Now you need to decide which side is your front and which side is your back, because we're going to be stitching with the wrong sides out. I want this to be my front and this to be my back. Alright, so we're going to put the 2 sides together, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this. And then we're going to stitch across the top, stitching slip stitches to stitch the front to the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the stitch here and in the first stitch here and stitch a slip stitch. And we'll do this all the way across, stitching the front to the back. And this is why I mentioned when we first started that you don't want your beginning chain to be too tight. There we go. Or your sides won't match up evenly and you'll have to stretch it and ease it in, which isn't that big of a deal, but it just makes it a little bit easier if your beginning chain is just a little bit loose, and it will also help the cowl lay nicer at the seam. Now, of course, this seam is going to be in the back, so it's not really going to be a problem. Alright, so I'm just going to continue working across, stitching the front of my cowl to the back with my wrong sides out. The front of my cowl, which will be the right side, is on the inside. Alright, so I'm just going to continue working across, stitching them together with slip stitches. I have slip stitched the front to the back all the way across. I'm going to cut my yarn and tie off. Whoops, we'll try that again. Alrighty, so now we're going to just weave these ends in with our needle. So we'll put it on our needle and we'll just weave those in. Remember, the best way to weave it in is to go forwards and backwards through the fibers of the yarn and not through the holes. Go go up and then go right back through your stitches. There we go. And we'll do this other end, and our cowl will be all finished and ready to be worn. I was looking through my blouses and dresses, seeing if I had something with this color, and I do, and so I'm so excited that I'm going to be able to wear this cowl. All right, there's the seam. Here's the inside. Here's the outside. There's the seam on the outside. And there's our cowl all ready. Isn't this lace stitch just lovely? It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's perfect for a cowl. The Jaqua Lace